Hello friends, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Dimple Khosla from Dayal Singh College, Karnal. The topic of today's discussion is personality. By the end of this module, the students will be able to understand the meaning of personality, will understand the stages of personality, the different theories of personality. Let us start with the introduction. So far in the last module, we have learnt about the meaning of personality and the various traits of personality. It was clear from the study that a personality is a combination of various traits may be inherited or acquired through learning process. To be employable and to be successful, it is required to have a number of traits. Now in this chapter, we will discuss regarding the stages of personality development and its various theories. Also, we will study the relationship between organizational behavior and personality. Stages of personality development. Various stages of personality development are given by various researchers from time to time. These stages may be either physiological or psychological. The study of these stages is very helpful in understanding the organizational behavior. The various stages given by some of the authors are Hall's career stage model. Hall has given the 4 stages based on career of an individual. According to him, this is the most important and difficult stage for an individual when he shifts himself from studies to work. This stage starts at the age of 15, approximately when he starts thinking seriously about his career. The stages given by him can be summarized as follows. Number 1, exploration stage. This is a period of self-examination where one decides to choose the subject for higher studies according to his future career option. In this process, his individual traits, family environment, role models play a very important role. Number 2, establishment stage. This stage comes when one is settled down in his work. This stage is considered to be the growing stage when one with his all potential and efforts try to be his best and try to prove his worth to himself as well as to the organization, to his family and to the society as well. Maintenance stage. This is the stage where a saturation points come, beyond which there seems to be no scope of progress and the individual has reached to a highly productive plateau. The need here is to maintain this level as long as he can by updating his skills. Next stage is decline or disengagement. This stage comes at the age of retirement when the only need of the individual is to have integrity. One who successfully crosses the above 3 stages feel accomplished at this stage, otherwise a feeling of regret remains in the individual, which leads to dissatisfaction and further leads to depression. Trait factor theory. This theory was given by Allport and Cattell. Allport said that a person's usual attitude or tendency to act or think in a particular way is not related with common traits. This theory is primarily focused on differences between individuals. Each individual tends to have a unique set of traits, and this theory attempts to identify and measures these unique personality traits. Cattell developed 2 sets of traits known as surface traits and source traits. Surface traits refers to those traits which can be easily observed in the day-to-day behavior of an individual. They are more clear and there cannot be any difference of opinion about them. They are integrity, cheerfulness and altruism. Source traits. According to him, source traits play an important role in the formation of personality. Their number happens to be less than the surface traits. Unlike the surface traits, these traits don't get reflected in day-to-day life. He says that there are 23 source traits which are found in the normal individual and 12 source traits that are found in abnormal people. Source traits further can also be classified as environmental mold traits and constitutional traits. Traits that are affected by environmental forces are known as environmental mold traits, and traits influenced by the heredity are known as constitutional traits. Freudian stages. Number 1, the oral stage. This stage starts from the birth of a child and goes up to the age of 1 year. An infant depends upon others for his survival, and the mouth is the source through which he interacts. Infant derives pleasure from oral stimulation through gratifying activities like sucking, biting, eating, etc. A sense of comfort and trust is developed at this stage. According to Freud, excessive or insufficient amount of stimulation during oral stage may lead to the development of oral passive personality in adulthood, like more dependency and aggression. Number 2, the anal stage. The age period from 1 to 3 years is recognized as anal stage. At this stage, the concentration of parents is on controlling bladder and bowel movements. This stage deals with the toilet training of the child. If the nature of training given by the parents is harsh and repressive, this may result in an anal retentive personality, which is characterized by orderliness, punctuality, stringent, rigid, and obsessive. On the other hand, if parents take a positive approach while training, then the resulting personality can be a competent, productive, or creative one. Freud also opines that if parents are too lenient in this regard, then it leads to the personality traits like messy, wasteful, or destructive. At number 3 comes the phallic stage. This stage remains from the age 3 to 4 years. At this stage, children starts finding the genital differences between males and females. Freud describes this stage with the help of Oedipus complex and Electra complex, which means a sexual desire that a child feels towards the parents of opposite sex, along with jealous feelings towards the parents of the same sex. This complex may result in adult personality disorder when unresolved. Number 4 is the latency stage. This stage starts at the age of 4 and remains up to 6 years of age. During this period, the child starts going to school and interacting with his peer group. At this stage, he starts developing his habits and other interests. Though the sexual energy is present, but it is actually diverted towards understanding the basics of the environment and social interactions. During this stage, the traits like self-confidence, social and communication skills are developed. Number 5, the genital stage. This is the final stage of psychosexual development given by Freud. According to him, this stage starts during puberty and remains all through the adulthood. At this stage, strong sexual interests are developed in an individual towards opposite sex. Self-gratification is not the reason to love others, rather they attract for altruistic reasons. Freud explained the stages of personality development almost depending them upon the sex. That is the reason that this theory was criticized by most of the other researchers. Side by side, the researchers developed some more theories. So, let us discuss one theory that emerged after this theory of Freud. Erikson's stages of personality development. Known as Neo-Freudian stages, the stages given by Erikson are very popular. His point of view was entirely different from that of Freud, but was fairly considered as a systematic extension of Freud's psychosexual stages of personality development. His theory was based on social aspects of personality development. Erikson believed that a crisis occurs when psychological needs of the individual conflict with his societal needs. According to him, for a good and healthy personality development, it is necessary that these stages should be successfully completed. If these are not successfully completed, then it can result in an unhealthy personality. The stages given by Erikson are as follows. Number 1, infant stage. Infancy stage remains from birth of a child up to the age of 18 months. Basic conflicts arises is of trust or mistrust. During this period, the infant is completely dependent on his parents or caretakers. If the child is duly cared, he would feel safe and comfortable. He will feel himself in the secured and trusted zone and will develop a confidence in all around him. But if the child is not duly cared or the care is either harsh or unreliable, then the child will develop a feeling of mistrust. He will not be able to adjust himself with everyone around him because of the feeling of insecurity and being threatened. Second stage is early childhood stage. This age starts from the age of 18 months and remains up to 3 years. The crisis at this stage is regarding autonomy versus shame and doubt. At this age, the child starts doing small activities like handling and playing with things and toys. If a child is given an encouraging and tolerant environment and is allowed to be independent in making choice of what he wants to wear and what he wants to play, he will be developing many skills and abilities. But if the parents do not keep confidence in the child and does not allow the child to do anything or criticize him if he tries to do things because he fails, specifically while giving toilet training or wearing clothes or eating, then the child will feel over controlled and will develop a sense of doubt in himself. Theories of personality. Several human behavior theorists have done various researches and developed various theories of human personality. The main theories of personalities are as follows. Number 1, Psychoanalytical Theory. Number 2, Socio-psychological Theory. Number 3, Trait Theory, and number 4, Self Theory. Let us first of all explain the psychoanalytical theory. Sigmund Freud developed psychoanalytical theory of personality. According to him, the human personality consists of 3 elements, that is the id, ego and superego. This theory is also considered as Freud's structural theory of personality. Let us explain these 3 elements in detail. The id. The simple meaning of the word id is that human psychology in which a part of human's unconscious mind relates to the basic needs and desires. It occurs completely outside of conscious thought. It seeks gratification for biological needs like hunger, thirst and sexual needs. According to him, for partial gratification of a need, human forms a mental image in the primary process. For example, if a person happens to be thirsty and he instantly creates a picture of his favorite drink in his mind, he will get rid of the tension at least for some time, but this will not satisfy the feeling of his thirst. Thus, it can be said that the id is related to the imaginary and illusionary world. The ego. This is the actual or real part of the personality. Ego deals with rational thinking, like in the above example, only drawing an image of the drink will not fulfill his thirst. He has to drink something for satisfying his need. Let us take one more example to understand what is ego. If a person is well qualified for a job of general manager in a company and looks himself at that position, this will be called id. But when appeared for interview, he faces a lot of competition from the equally or even more qualified and experienced persons. He is offered a job below the rank he was expecting. Then if he makes compromise and thinks the situation in consideration of reality and takes the job, then this is his ego. So, ego is the conscious and logical part of human personality. It is related with immediate pleasure, whereas ego is related with real pleasure. The third part comes superego. When morality gets attached to the reality, it is known as the superego. This is the third part of the personality which helps a person in deciding what is right and what is wrong. Superego works for perfection. Freud believed that there is a constant conflict among id, ego and superego, and personality of an individual and his behavior is completely affected by the internal conflicts of these three concepts. According to him, a person with strong ego enjoys a healthy personality, and on the other hand, the imbalances among these three can lead to depression. The next theory is New Freudian Personality Theory or Socio-Psychological Theory. Freud psychoanalytical theory was based on just biological or instinctive determinants, so it was not free from criticism. Several researchers of that time disagreed with Freud, and they gave a new Freudian theory which was based on social relationships. Sullivan, New Freudian, stressed that people continuously attempt to establish significant and rewarding relationships with others. He was particularly concerned with the individual's efforts to reduce tensions and anxiety. Like Sullivan, Horney was also interested in anxiety. She focused on the child-parent relationship, especially the individual desire to conquer the feeling of anxiety. Horney proposed that individuals be classified into three personality groups: compliant, aggressive and detached. Compliant people are those who move towards others. Their desire is to be loved, wanted and appreciated. Aggressive people are those who move against others. They desire to excel and win admiration. Detached people are those who move away from others. They desire independence, self-reliance, self-sufficiency and freedom from obligations. Thus, managers have to shape the personality of their employees through the interaction and interrelation of social and psychological needs. Self-theory of personality. The psychoanalytic and socio-psychological theorists of personality represent the more traditional approaches to explain the complex human personality. Self-theory, also termed as organism or field theory or humanistic approach, emphasizes the totality and interrelation of all behaviors. The major contributors of this theory are Carl Rogers, Abraham Maslow, Hirschberg and Lewin. Carl Rogers, the major contributors of this theory, has given the 4 factors in self-concept. These are self-image, ideal image, looking glass self and real self. Self-image. The self-image is the way one sees oneself. Every person has certain beliefs about who or what he is. Taken together, these beliefs are a person's self-image or identity. Erikson has defined identity as a lifelong development, largely unconscious to the individual and his society. Its roots go back all the way to the first self-recognition. Ideal self. The ideal self denotes the way one would like to be. The ideal self differs from self-image in the fact that the self-image indicates the reality of a person as perceived by him, while ideal self indicates the ideal position as perceived by him. Thus, there may be a gap between these 2 characteristics. The ideal self is important in stimulus selecting because a person will select those stimuli for processing which fit in with the characteristics of his ideal self. Third is looking glass self. The looking glass self is the perception of a person about how others perceive his qualities and characteristics. This is the insight of others' perception, that is the way one thinks people perceive about him and not the way people actually see him. The looking glass self is predominantly a social product which emerges from face-to-face interaction with others from the very beginning of the life. This interaction is directed toward cues about how others see him as an individual. Thus, beliefs about self are in large measure a reflection. Real self. The real self is what one really is. The first 3 aspects of self-concepts are the functions of individual perception, and they may be same as real self or different from it. An individual's self-image is confirmed when other persons' responses to him indicate their beliefs about who and what he corresponds with. In the face of feedback from the environment, the person re-evaluates himself and readjusts his self-image to be more consistent with the cues he was receiving. Thus, there is a mutual recognition of his real self and the validity of the self-image is confirmed. Points to ponder. Freud describes the phallic stage with the help of Oedipus complex and Electra complex. During the latency stage, the sexual energy is present, but it is actually diverted towards understanding the basics of the environment and social interactions. According to Freud, the genital stage starts during puberty and remains all through the adulthood. A proper balance is needed to be maintained between modesty and competence to develop a balanced personality. According to Freud, the human personality consists of 3 elements, that is the id, ego and superego. Managers have to shape the personality of their employees through the interactions and interrelations of social and psychological needs. Thank you.